What is the scariest, most horrifying thing you know? Be it real or fiction? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. Here's a good one. This is real. I used to work in an optician's and help people learn to use contact lenses. Did you know just how dangerous it is to wash your lenses with water? There are things that live in regular tap water that feed off of the cornea. There's been many cases where people with lenses have had their corneas destroyed. Remember to always use proper solution and not tap water. Eternity. The concept of the eternity of time. Ever since I was a little kid thinking about the mere concept of eternity. How if I die I will be non-existent for eternity, and if reincarnation or heaven or were a thing, then I would live for eternity, would absolutely terrify me. When I say terrify, I mean a sort of deep fear, not a sort of biological irrational fear like when you see a spider, not a rational fear like when you're in a car and your drunk friend is driving too fast, but a deep fear that resonates within your soul. I know my fear of eternity will never go. I've tried churning the concept of eternal time and existence, non-existence in my head on multiple occasions to no avail. The only way I can sleep at night and not end up in an asylum for the insane is that I have become very proficient at forcing myself to not think about eternity. Just like when you're a kid you fall and you hurt yourself, but when you get older you learn to instinctively break your fall with your hands and falling doesn't scare you anymore. Eternity. That there's no big, significant moment to killing someone. You can kill someone in a million different ways, in a million different moods. Sometimes you don't know if they're dead. Sometimes even if you slit their throat it just feels like the physical sensations that the experience is made of. There is nothing about the experience that is greater than the sum of its parts. Somehow there should be more. BTW have never killed. 2 years into the war, World War II, the Army issued its first meager supplies of penicillin, instructing physicians to use the precious drug sparingly, in doses of about 5,000 units, less than a third of what would be considered a minimal penicillin dose for minor infections in 1993. In those early days before bacteria became resistant to antibiotics, such doses were capable of performing miracles, and the army doctors were so impressed with the powers of penicillin that they collected the urine of patients who were on the drug and crystallized excreted penicillin for reuse on other GIs. From the coming plague, Laurie Garrett. The span between tiny doses of a miracle drug that was seen as the probable end to all bacterial disease in 1993 when they were already using much larger doses, and were aware that bacteria was becoming resistant to antibiotics was about 50 years. It's been 20 more years since this book was written. I'm 16 and honestly, the future. I am fucking terrified that I'm gonna end up stuck in a shitty job I hate while trying to pay back college loans. People say that it's possible to be successful without college, but I don't see how. I don't see how I'm gonna be able to pay for utilities, food, clothes, gas, etc. at the same time. I don't see how I'm gonna be able to avoid being in debt for the rest of my life if I don't get a scholarship. Fucking hell. Just typing this out is sending me into a full-blown anxiety attack. I have to go lie down. The concept of true oblivion. True nothingness. Your existence never was, is or will be. Time itself falls apart and reworks so that every trace of your being, your potential, is gone. I'm fine with death, but I want to leave my mark on human history, be it good or bad, whether I doom us or save us, or just live an average, standard life. Of course, the chances of something with the power of oblivion appearing are pathetically small. And even if such a thing did exist, it would be physically impossible to know about it, so no sense worrying, right? Sometimes I wake up in the dead of night for no reason. For no reason. But I had to wake up for some reason, be it physiological or physical or just something. You don't just wake up for no reason, there must be a cause. But I have no idea what it was. So I lay there, and I look around, and I listen, and everything sounds normal and looks normal. But I feel like a mouse in a burrow and a fox just walked overhead. I'm a little freaked out because something had to have woken me up. But I don't remember what it was or how or why. All I can think of is that poor bastard at the beginning of The Sixth Sense. Do you know why you're afraid when you're alone? I do. And it's the same thing. Do you know why you're afraid when you wake up in the dead of night for no reason? I do. Sad face. I do. Alzheimer's, your memories of your life just gets eaten away, like some evil parasite until there's nothing left. My grandmother suffers from Alzheimer's, and it breaks my heart that one day, she will forget who the people on the mantelpiece are, she won't even remember her husband of 58 years, until eventually, she won't remember how to breathe, and I hope that no one I love will ever go through that again. Went to see some horror movie with my girlfriend, forgot what it was named, when it first came out. Her parents had just moved into a new house and they were away for the weekend, and my girlfriend was pretty shaky when we came home. She insisted that I go through all of the rooms in the house to check for who knows what. Being a dutiful boyfriend, I eye-rollingly went through all of the bedrooms, and was finishing up in the guest bathroom. The door was ajar, and I pushed it open, and heard, right next to my head, the loudest, most blood-curdling scream ever. Turns out that the cat was behind the door and somehow had its tail in the jam. And when I opened it, it got pinched. Fuck, man. People can be the most unpredictable factor in your life. Tomorrow, someone could walk into the store you're at, and empty a magazine of 5.56 rounds from an AR-15. If you or the people with you don't get shot, you will still witness the death and injury of hundreds of people. Someone could drive into your house, and better yet, pass away. You'll have no one to be mad at, no closure. People are scary. That our global weather patterns are changing, rapidly. I'm not here to discuss the political clusterfuck of the global warming debate. But something is definitely happening, and it's massively impacted me in my daily life. My town is a ski resort town. Oh, but no snow. Massively impacts my local economy and my hobby. Wildfires used to be rare. Now we have a wildfire season, and worse, that season gets longer and more vicious every year. And our firefighting resources are taxed to the limit. It's so weird to see a giant smokestack in the near distance, and wonder if that's the one that's going to take out my community. I live in a monsoon environment. I'm used to rain, torrential rain and storms for 2 months out of the year. For the past 5 years, no monsoons, just sprinkles. Lakes are drying up, so are rivers. My river running hobby has also been hit really hard because no snowmelt, no monsoons, means no whitewater to run on my favorite little rivers. This also impacts my fishing and lake camping hobby big time. All of this mostly impacts my hobbies and my sense of safety. But the fucking terrifying thing is knowing that this shit is going to also impact the breadbasket of my country. My country is so young that we've never really lived through a famine. We have no idea what it's like. And we are all armed to the teeth. I'm terrified that it's going to be horrific. Starvation, revolution, a bloody, bloody mess, literally, and on top of that, wildfires and other natural disasters. Locked-in syndrome. Imagine, you're in your 20s, and you develop a lazy limp in your left or right leg. Slowly, you lose your ability to move certain parts of your body. You can't open a door, your fingers feel like they have tar rung through them, sticking them together. Then your legs and feet, like every single muscle in them have become concrete. Eventually, you're stuck on a bed, moving your eyes, barely able to utter a word. Soon, you can't move anything. Decades, upon decades of laying in a bed. Conscious, unmoving, faux death, complete and utter restraint until you die a miserable death on a bed. A life lived still. I'm not sure about others, but if it was me in that situation, if I could, I would off myself in any way possible. I read about the Jonestown incident last night. I'd never heard about it before. I don't live in the US. Then I listened to the death tape. It's an audio recording that was left on just as the decision to commit revolutionary suicide was reached. The actual sounds in the recording are not all that bad, it's mainly the voice of Jones. There's some music in the background that sounds eerie and distorted by the tape's age, and there's a bit of wailing here and there, but it's never graphic or intense. Which makes it so much worse when you know the context of what is happening. Maybe I'm desensitized, but recordings of shootings and violence don't disturb me very much anymore. But for some reason the fact that they're taking their own lives makes it worse. Just sitting there, imagining the scene. People in trances or hysterics, taking the poison, dying. People watching other people dying and then dying themselves. All whilst Jones is trying to calm everyone down and keep them convinced that they're doing the right thing, and the muffled, distorted music plays constantly in the background. This isn't as horribly scary as some of the stuff on here, but I was thinking a lot while I was pooping the other day about how when you meet someone they have to build their own image of you. Like through the things you say and do, until they know all of you. But at the same time they can't really know all of you or what's in your head. It freaked me out a little because I know me all the time, but other people only have little snippets of what I'm really like. Not sure why that was such a strange realization for me. Well, let's see. You are completely insignificant and you are the mercy of a society that doesn't give a rat's ass about you. You are completely insignificant, and your entire life can be destroyed in a matter of minutes, maybe even seconds. Because the people in charge of your safety are either incompetent fools or sadistic assholes. And then you die alone in filth and squalor. The end. Another thing that scares me is that we have psychopaths and sociopaths living amongst us. That is utterly horrifying in my opinion. Can you imagine a living being who is completely incapable of having the ability to feel empathy or compassion for another human being? It is absolutely terrifying to think there are people who are capable of acting on impulse without taking the detriment into consideration. Shudders.